I need some help. I've started this thing, I got a new introduction.
Okay.
Now, I think some of you saw it back there a minute ago when you were in the back. It's Donna Davis, the one and only. If you find another, she's a phony. And also, we have now at Wells Toastmasters, and I sat in on one class. So I need y'all's help to see how many ahs and ums that I say today. Give me a count at the end.
We can do that. All right. During this dialogue, I'm going to ask Donna some questions that will be something that you will need as you start recruiting and trying to get volunteers for junior achievement. Hopefully, she will be able to share some best practices that you can take back to your office. Okay. So we'll start with talking about class drops. So Donna, at Wells Fargo, you've always had great volunteer turnout for junior achievement. And occasionally, volunteers have been unable to start their class or complete their volunteer commitment. How have you addressed this problem and stopped the last minute J&A or JA Finance Part cancellations? What did you do?
Most of our cancellations is when we have a site called My Volunteer Time that all the volunteer events are posted on. So when they sign up on that volunteer page, I stress, please get approval from your supervisor or manager before you sign up. So once they sign up, I give the little thank you emails, but I also email them and CC their manager to let their manager know that they've signed up. So at that point in time, if they have not discussed that with their manager, that is the time then to talk about, can I do this event, can I not, or for the manager to say yay or nay to that associate. So in that time, so they get at least 2 or 3 times that they know that, hey, and these kids, and during training is another one, I missed that one. During training, I also stress, you know, if you go, just think about it, you as a kid, you hear all the volunteers are coming to the school, big banks is coming to the school, we're coming to the school. And when you get there, you have a classroom that does not have a volunteer. How do you think that student would feel? How would you feel as a student? And your classroom was one of those classrooms that didn't have a volunteer. It would hurt the feelings of those students. So you have to look at that fact. So I make sure the manager has the approval. So at the very end, it's not that, oh, my manager said I can't go, but we know in enough time,
So it sounds like on the front end, you try to make sure everything has been approved, that we eliminate a lot of the cancellations. And it sounds like you put them on a little guilt trip too. All right, any questions for Donna as far as class drops are concerned?
What about the back end?
On the back end, I make them feel this little. I'm serious. And but on the flip side, we have had them on the back end, and you know they just, I mean, it happens. Sometimes you have them that any emergency happens, things like that. But I always reach out to good old Caroline, help me out. Or what can we do? And of course, at the end, we kind of divide the classroom and put them in another class to help those students still get that.
But for the most part, for Donna, it always seems to come together. She has a pool of volunteers that she can reach out to most of the time that usually say yes, because she has built that rapport with managers and supervisors to get that approval. So it usually works out.
One of the things, we actually had a JA training yesterday with Barbara, and one of the things that we were gonna do is I'm gonna put a list together of all of the trained JAs and then send it to all the employees. So they will even know if they have something pop up, these are the people that I could call and get to go do the class for me or that type of thing. So we came up with that yesterday.
Well, good.
So
Now
the
I have all of
employees-
you I can reach out to.
That's right.
Along with me. Well, great, thanks. Any more questions? Questions. All right. So let's talk about recruitment. It's the beginning of the semester, and you are planning to increase the number of volunteers from last year. I believe, last year you reached, nearly, almost 60?
65.
So, what are some creative ways you plan to stir up some excitement to recruit new volunteers with Wells Fargo this year?
We have at Wells team member networks, and from those networks, each network deals with nonprofit organizations. So, in this particular this particular event that we had back in June this year, was a talent show for all of our team members in the DFW Metroplex. And from there, we invited some of our nonprofit organizations, and we invited Junior Achievement. And so with that being said, all the team members that came to the event, they went around, it was, we did it as a passport. So they had to go to each table and finish out their passport and get it stamped by each table, each TMN table. And at the end, they got a prize. You know, every person that came through got a pony, of course. And so with that being said, from there.
Not a live pony.
Yeah, not a live. With that being said, what we did was, that's how we created our volunteer list. So people were signing up as they come to the table, learn about the actual nonprofit organization that was at that particular table, and that's how we got volunteers. Me and of course, I'm always, please, I need you, please.
I attended that event. The thing that stood out to me the most as far as being different was that it was in the evening. It was after hours.
Yeah.
So, and it was very well attended, which I was impressed by that as well. And a lot of people did sign up.
So that was one of our ways that we tried for this year.
Any questions? Y'all don't have to have any more
I do
time.
have a question. How far in advance do you let the people know what's going on? Say, we're signed up for JA today. It's not going to be for almost 3 months. At what point do you make your
Now's the
people
time.
aware? Right now?
Now is the time to start promoting it, getting it out there. Yes, now is the time. We started in June.